Have you ever noticed a part of yourself that feels hidden, like a shadow lurking just out of sight? This isn't about secrets or things you've done, it's about the parts of your personality you don't fully understand or maybe even avoid thinking about. Psychologists often call this the shadow self, and philosophers like the Stoics have their own way of addressing it. What's fascinating is that this hidden part of you holds incredible potential, even if it feels unsettling at times. Our hidden self is where suppressed thoughts, emotions, and traits reside. These are parts of us we might have buried because they seem too negative, too painful, or simply unacceptable to others. Maybe it's a fear you've never admitted, anger you try to deny, or ambitions that feel too selfish to pursue. But here's the catch: ignoring these parts doesn't make them go away. They linger, quietly influencing your decisions, emotions, and reactions. And sometimes they show up when you least expect them, forcing you to confront what you've tried to suppress. The Stoics believed in understanding the full spectrum of human nature, including the aspects we'd rather hide. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and philosopher, encouraged self-examination, not to criticize oneself, but to grow. He believed that even the darker parts of our character could teach us valuable lessons if we were willing to face them. Similarly, Epictetus taught that self-awareness was key to mastering life's challenges. By examining your impulses, even the uncomfortable ones, you gain clarity and strength. But why is this hidden self so important? Because within it lies not just the source of our struggles, but also untapped potential. For example, traits like assertiveness, ambition, or creativity might be buried because they were misunderstood as aggression, selfishness, or impracticality. By confronting and understanding these traits, you can unlock a more authentic and empowered version of yourself. The goal isn't to let these parts of you take over, but to integrate them, using their energy in constructive and balanced ways. Acknowledging your hidden self isn't easy. It requires courage, honesty, and a willingness to face discomfort. But Stoicism teaches us that this process is not just necessary, it's liberating. It's about learning to accept yourself fully, even the parts you don't like or understand. This kind of self-acceptance doesn't make you weaker, it makes you stronger, more resilient, and better equipped to handle life's challenges. In facing the hidden self, you might just discover a deeper sense of peace and purpose. Have you ever noticed how emotions can feel like a storm, powerful and overwhelming? Stoicism doesn't suggest we suppress these storms, but teaches us to navigate through them with understanding and control. For Stoics, emotions are not inherently good or bad. Instead, they are signals, messages that reveal what we value and fear. By learning to interpret and manage these signals, we can regain control over our inner lives. The Stoics divided emotions into two main categories: rational and irrational. Rational emotions, such as joy and caution, arise from a clear understanding of the world and align with reason. They guide us toward virtuous actions. Irrational emotions like anger, fear, or jealousy stem from false beliefs or misunderstandings about what truly matters. For example, if we believe that wealth or external validation defines our worth, the loss of these can trigger destructive emotions. But Stoicism teaches us that our worth is rooted in our character and choices, not in external things. Epictetus, one of the most prominent Stoic philosophers, argued that we suffer not because of events themselves, but because of how we interpret them. If someone insults you, the insult itself doesn't harm you, your reaction does. He urged people to question their automatic emotional responses, asking, "Is this reaction serving me? Is it based on truth?" By re-examining our emotional triggers, we can shift our focus away from what we can't control and toward what we can: our thoughts, choices, and actions. Marcus Aurelius also reflected deeply on emotions, viewing them as opportunities for growth. When anger or frustration arises, he saw it as a chance to practice patience and understanding. He reminded himself that everyone acts according to their understanding of good and bad, and therefore we should respond to others with compassion rather than hostility. This perspective transforms emotional challenges into moments of self-improvement. Stoicism doesn't deny the existence of strong feelings, it acknowledges them but encourages mastery over them. This mastery doesn't mean becoming emotionless, it means responding to emotions with wisdom rather than impulse. Seneca likened emotions to wild horses. They can lead us astray if left unchecked, but with proper training, they can carry us forward powerfully and purposefully. Have you ever wondered why certain situations or people trigger a strong emotional reaction in you? The shadow self, those hidden, often ignored parts of you, serves as a mirror, reflecting truths we might not want to see, but desperately need to understand. This concept, explored deeply in psychology and philosophy, reveals that the traits we reject or suppress are not merely flaws, they are clues to our unacknowledged strengths, fears, and desires. The shadow teaches us by forcing us to confront what we avoid. Imagine you feel envious when a friend achieves success. At first glance, envy seems like a negative emotion, something to suppress or deny. But if you look closer, that envy might reveal an unmet ambition or a desire you haven't pursued. By acknowledging it, you don't just make peace with the feeling, you uncover what truly matters to you. Carl Jung, the psychologist who popularized the idea of the shadow self, argued that ignoring these parts of ourselves creates imbalance. The more we push these feelings away, the more power they hold over us, often emerging as irrational behavior or internal conflict. Conversely, integrating these shadow aspects helps us grow, turning our weaknesses into strengths and our fears into wisdom. From a Stoic perspective, the shadow provides a chance for self-mastery. Marcus Aurelius wrote extensively about self-examination, urging people to understand their impulses and confront their darker tendencies. For example, if anger frequently arises in you, it might not be the world that needs to change, it could be an unrealistic expectation you've set. The shadow reveals these distortions, helping you adjust your mindset and align with reality. Seneca offered similar insights, stating that what feels like a burden can often become a tool for growth when approached with reason. If fear or doubt holds you back, ask yourself, what does this fear reveal about your values? Perhaps it points to a deep care for something meaningful or a reminder that preparation is needed. Instead of resisting fear, you can use it to focus and act wisely. The shadow also teaches compassion, not only toward yourself but also toward others. When you recognize your own capacity for anger, selfishness, or judgment, you're better equipped to understand those traits in others. This doesn't mean excusing harmful behavior, but recognizing that everyone has an inner struggle. Understanding your shadow fosters empathy, bridging the gap between you and others. Finally, the shadow challenges the idea of perfection. It reminds us that being human means being incomplete, contradictory, and ever-changing. By embracing this imperfection, we free ourselves from unrealistic standards and open the door to authentic self-acceptance. This lesson aligns with Stoicism's focus on accepting what is within our control and letting go of what isn't, including the need to appear flawless. In essence, the shadow teaches us to embrace complexity. It shows us that our darker sides aren't barriers but bridges guiding us towards self-awareness, resilience, and a deeper connection with ourselves and the world. Confronting your shadow self is not an easy journey. It's one thing to acknowledge that you have hidden parts of yourself, it's entirely another to face them honestly. These challenges can be uncomfortable, even painful, but they are also deeply transformative. The shadow resists exposure because it thrives in darkness, and bringing it to light often means confronting parts of yourself you've long denied. One of the first challenges is denial. Many of us are quick to reject the idea that we have darker traits like jealousy, anger, or selfishness. These qualities conflict with the image we want to project to the world and to ourselves. Admitting they exist can feel like admitting failure. But as Stoic philosophy teaches, self-awareness is a path to virtue. By denying your shadow, you give it power over you. By acknowledging it, you begin to reclaim control. Fear is another major obstacle. It's natural to fear what we don't understand, and the shadow often feels like uncharted territory. What if facing your shadow means confronting painful memories or realizing you've been dishonest with yourself? These thoughts can deter you from even starting the process. However, as Marcus Aurelius wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The fear of facing your shadow diminishes when you accept it as part of your personal growth. The process of facing your shadow can also trigger intense emotions. Shame, guilt, or regret may surface when you acknowledge traits or behaviors you've tried to suppress. These emotions can feel overwhelming, but they are also a sign that you're making progress. Seneca advised that facing adversity, including internal struggles, builds resilience and character. Emotions, no matter how difficult, are guides that help you navigate this journey. Another challenge is the temptation to judge yourself harshly. Once you see your shadow clearly, you might feel disappointed or unworthy. It's important to remember that everyone has a shadow. It's part of being human. Self-compassion is crucial here. Instead of judging your shadow, try to understand it. Ask yourself, what purpose does this trait serve? What unmet need is it pointing to? This perspective shifts the focus from condemnation to curiosity. Facing your shadow can also create friction in your relationships. As you confront your hidden traits, you may notice patterns in how you interact with others. Perhaps you've been projecting your own insecurities onto friends or family. Recognizing this can be difficult, but it's also an opportunity to improve those relationships. By understanding yourself better, you can communicate more honestly and build deeper connections. Finally, the shadow doesn't disappear once you've faced it. Integration is an ongoing process. You might feel like you've made progress, only to encounter new challenges that bring up familiar patterns. This cyclical nature can feel discouraging, but it's a reminder that growth is not linear. The Stoics believed in the constant practice of self-reflection and improvement. As Epictetus put it, progress is not achieved by luck or accident, but by working on yourself daily. In confronting your shadow, you take a step toward wholeness. The challenges are real, but so are the rewards: greater self-awareness, deeper empathy, and the freedom to live authentically. Each obstacle you overcome strengthens your character, aligning you with the Stoic ideal of a life lived in harmony with reason, courage, and virtue. Balancing the shadow and light within ourselves is the ultimate goal of integrating the shadow self. It's not about completely eliminating the darker aspects of your personality, but rather understanding and harmonizing them with your conscious self. This balance allows you to live a more authentic and whole life, rooted in self-awareness and acceptance. The shadow contains traits and desires that are often suppressed because they don't align with societal expectations or personal ideals. These qualities don't disappear, they remain hidden, influencing behavior in subtle ways. When you consciously acknowledge these traits, you gain the power to channel them productively instead of allowing them to manifest unconsciously. Carl Jung referred to this process as individuation, where the conscious and unconscious parts of the psyche unite, creating a balanced and whole individual. Stoicism offers practical tools for achieving this balance. The Stoics emphasize moderation and self-discipline, which can guide you in managing the impulses and emotions that arise from your shadow. For example, the anger you suppress may serve as a warning that your boundaries are being crossed. Instead of repressing it, a Stoic approach would involve recognizing it, understanding its root cause, and addressing the situation calmly and rationally. In this way, what was once a source of inner conflict becomes a tool for growth. The balance between shadow and light requires self-compassion. It's important to remember that the traits you've hidden are not inherently bad, they are simply parts of your humanity. Acknowledging them doesn't mean you condone harmful behavior, it means you're willing to learn from these aspects and use them to become a better version of yourself. As Marcus Aurelius advised, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. To live virtuously, you must first understand all dimensions of yourself. Integrating the shadow doesn't mean dwelling in negativity or becoming consumed by darker traits. It means using your light, the qualities you consciously embody, to illuminate the shadow. Traits like kindness, patience, and resilience can help you confront your shadow with courage and balance. Just as light needs darkness to exist, your shadow gives depth and dimension to your character. Together they create a fuller, richer self. Balancing shadow and light also means being mindful of extremes. If you lean too far into the shadow, you risk becoming overwhelmed by negativity or destructive impulses. On the other hand, denying the shadow and striving for constant positivity can lead to inauthenticity and burnout. True harmony lies in embracing both, allowing them to coexist without letting either dominate your life. This balance benefits not only your inner world but also your relationships. When you accept your shadow, you're less likely to project it onto others. You can approach people with greater empathy, understanding that they too have their struggles. This creates stronger connections and fosters mutual respect. Ultimately, balancing the shadow and light is an ongoing practice. It requires self-reflection, honesty, and a willingness to grow. By embracing this dynamic, you step closer to the Stoic ideal of living in alignment with nature, accepting all aspects of yourself and using them to create a life of virtue, purpose, and harmony. Stoic philosophy provides powerful tools for understanding and embracing the shadow self. These practices encourage rational self-reflection, emotional regulation, and a commitment to growth. By adopting Stoic techniques, you can navigate the darker aspects of your personality with clarity and purpose, transforming them into sources of strength and wisdom. The first Stoic practice to consider is self-inquiry. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on his own thoughts and actions, questioning his motivations and behaviors. Through journaling or silent contemplation, you can examine your shadow traits, asking what purpose they serve and why they arose. This practice fosters awareness without judgment, allowing you to see these traits as they are, rather than through the lens of guilt or shame. Another core Stoic tool is the concept of the dichotomy of control. Epictetus taught that some things are within our control, such as our thoughts and actions, while others, like external events or other people's opinions, are not. When facing your shadow, focus on what you can change: your reactions, interpretations, and habits. Instead of being overwhelmed by the presence of darker emotions or impulses, you can work on how you respond to them, slowly transforming your perspective and behavior. Practicing premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of adversity, can also help. This involves mentally preparing for challenges, including those that may come from your shadow self. By anticipating situations where your hidden traits might surface, you can plan how to handle them wisely. For instance, if you know that certain situations trigger envy or anger, visualizing yourself managing these emotions calmly can empower you when they arise. The Stoic virtue of courage is particularly relevant to embracing the shadow. Confronting darker aspects of yourself requires bravery. It's easier to ignore or deny these parts, but real growth happens when you face them honestly. Remember Seneca's words, "You are greater than your woes." This mindset encourages resilience, reminding you that even the most challenging aspects of yourself can be confronted and transformed. Equally important is the practice of amor fati, or love of fate. This Stoic principle teaches us to embrace all experiences, including those that reveal our shadow. By accepting your shadow as part of your journey, you can see it not as an obstacle, but as an opportunity for learning and growth. Every trait, no matter how uncomfortable, has a lesson to teach. Daily habits of mindfulness and meditation, while not explicitly Stoic, align with its principles and can deepen your work with the shadow. Observing your thoughts without attachment, as Stoicism recommends, helps you create distance from immediate reactions, This practice prevents your shadow from taking control and allows you to respond with wisdom and intention. Finally, Stoicism emphasizes the importance of virtue living in alignment with reason, justice, and purpose. By focusing on cultivating virtues like patience, humility, and empathy, you create a guiding light to navigate the shadows. These qualities can counterbalance the darker impulses and help you make choices that reflect your highest self. Using Stoic practices to embrace the shadow isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Each step toward understanding and integrating your shadow brings you closer to a life of balance, authenticity, and resilience. By applying these time-tested tools, you can transform your shadow into an ally, one that helps you achieve the harmony and inner peace Stoics so deeply valued. Your shadow self, often perceived as a weakness, is one of your greatest sources of strength. By acknowledging and embracing it, you unlock a deeper understanding of who you are. Your shadow contains lessons, insights, and potential that, when harnessed, can lead to profound growth and transformation. It's not about erasing these darker aspects, but integrating them into your life in a balanced and constructive way. Stoicism teaches us to face life with courage and reason, embracing challenges as opportunities for growth. This includes the challenge of confronting your shadow. When you accept this part of yourself, you're no longer a prisoner to self-doubt or fear. Instead, you become empowered, resilient, and authentically human. Your shadow is not your enemy, it's your guide. It points to areas in your life that need attention and growth. By facing your shadow with the tools of Stoicism, self-reflection, courage, and love of fate, you can turn what seems like a weakness into a foundation for strength and wisdom. Take this journey seriously but kindly. Growth doesn't happen overnight, and that's okay. What matters is your willingness to look inward, to learn, and to transform. Every step you take toward embracing your shadow brings you closer to living a life of harmony, authenticity, and purpose. If you found value in this discussion, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more insights into Stoicism, self-discovery, and personal growth. Let's continue this journey together.